All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order this morning. First, if we can, let's go around the room and do introductions. Billy, I'll start with you.
Amber Scott Kelso, City Administrator with Lenoir City, on behalf of Mayor Tony R. Akins.
Dallas DeArmond, Knoxville, Knox County Planning.
Megan Brooks, City of Alcoa, here for Mayor Martin.
Don Walker here for Blount County Mayor Mitchell.
Brian Boone, City of Maryville, representing Mayor Andy White.
Doug Burton, TPO Coordinator.
Terry Frank, Anderson County Mayor.
Glenn Jacobs, Knox County Mayor.
India Kincannon, City of Knoxville Mayor.
Justin Biggs, Knox County Trustee, representing ETDD.
Isaac Thorne, Director of Knoxville Area Transit.
Zach Coleman, Transportation Planning Specialist for the Federal Highway Administration.
Matt Missouri with TDOT.
Troy Everett, TDOT Region 1 OCT.
Sean Gleason, Oak Ridge City Council, representing Mayor Gooch.
Thank you. And do we have anyone online? We do not. Okay, great. Thank you. Before we get into the minutes, I'd like to recognize Mayor Kincannon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to let the board know, in case you hadn't, that former Vice Mayor, but also current member of this executive committee, Andrew Roberto, lost his 21-year-old daughter in a car crash about a week ago, last Sunday. Her services are tomorrow, and I thought maybe we could just have a moment of silence in honor of Kylie Roberto, who lost her life 10 days ago here in Knox County in a tragic car crash. So a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The first order of business is approval of minutes from the January 24th Executive Board meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections or changes? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, the Transportation Improvement Program amendments, and Craig will lead us through this amendment.
That one, that better. Good morning. A couple of amendments this morning. These are starting to see some trickle down from the TDOT 10-year plan amendments to projects that are familiar with everybody here in the region. They're both for the Edgemore Road project out near Oak Ridge. They are both requiring air quality conformity, so this will be amendments as well as approving the conformity report and certifying that the metropolitan transportation planning process is being followed. Again, two amendments. One is a project that was already in the TIP. The other is, again, the other segment of that project that had been in previously but is being added back into the project through the 10-year plan process. The total amount of funding that's being added there, just under $28 million. The majority of that is state allocated STBG funds, as well as some about $5 million of state funding. You'll see both segments there, that eastern piece that was previously in the project, and now the western segment is being added back into the TIP and proceeding again out of that work, and those resolved through the 10-year plan. The first, again, Edgemore Road. So this is, let me make sure, this is the eastern segment that was already in the project. We're amending the project to increase right-of-way funding, also update the total project cost and reflect this project status, again, coming out of the Transportation Modernization Act. You see the programming there, 23 PE design, right-of-way in both 24 and 25 with state STBG money as well as state funds. Total project cost, that's a large one, $250 million. And the 10-year plan construction estimate is fiscal 2018 for the construction phase to begin. The second, this is a project, again, that western segment is being added back into the TIP so that this can begin or continue moving forward. This had NEPA funding previously, also non-exempt and being added to the TIP for design in fiscal 24 and right away in fiscal 25. You see both of those phases there are that state STBG funding being added, total cost just under $100 million and 10-year plan construction estimate in fiscal 27. I will pause if there are questions there. Next slide is conformity report, which Mike maybe can touch base on briefly.
Any questions for Craig?
If not, you want to talk a little bit about conformity?
Just very briefly here. So as Craig mentioned, these projects are considered non-exempt from air quality conformity, which means that they're major capacity increasing projects, and we have to account for those in the air quality conformity determination process. We were able to do that through what's called a short conformity report. It's in your packet. It's just a brief, basically demonstration that these projects were previously accounted for in our conformity analysis, and we're ensuring that the scope and time frame has not changed, determini, things like that. So these projects are already accounted for. We just demonstrated that and documented it for review. It's already been through our air quality interagency review process, and public comment period ended yesterday with no comments being received. So it would move forward for final approval by Federal Highway and EPA. So if there are any other questions.
Any questions for Mike? All right. Is that all, Craig? Do we need to entertain a motion, or do you have anything else?
We do. Technical
Okay.
Committee recommended that, and the project amendments for both of these, as well as that conformity report and the planning process self-certification.
All right. I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution that's in your packet adopting the requested amendments for 2 air quality non-exempt projects and the associated air quality conformity report.
Motion approved. Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
Next up, Mike, with the Mobility Plan 2050 population projections.
All right, so this is an action item to endorse the population projections for the mobility plan update. So some quick background. Each time we update the mobility plan, it's required by federal law that we base that on the latest available planning assumptions. And part of that is to forecast our population out to the horizon period of that, which is 2050, and make sure everybody's in agreement with that. And these serve as a key input to our travel demand model that forecasts future traffic. So for population change, it's basically natural change. That's births minus deaths plus your net migration. There's some trends going on now that are affecting the population change. First of all, and I've got these charts on the bottom of the screen. The birth rate has been declining since the recessionary period of 2007 through 9 and stayed down. So that's affecting our natural growth. Another thing is, along with that, the last couple of years, our natural change has gone negative in a lot of states, including Tennessee. With the aging population, lower birth rate, and possibly COVID, there's been more deaths than births, so we're losing population in that respect. However, we're gaining population in net migration, people coming to this area, which we've all seen, I think, in our communities. So this chart just shows for the 6-county region that migration data that was available to us as recent as 2013. You can see the last 3 years here on this chart are basically double the net in migration versus the previous period. We've always had people moving to the area for the last several years, but it has spiked up here recently. But you see the blue line is that natural change. So we're actually losing population the last few years from the births minus deaths aspect, but we're more than making up for it in the people moving into the area. So the net change the last few years has been, of course, positive. And we can see some data, it kind of trails a little bit back to 2021 is the most recent available. We can see the states coming into this 6-county region. Of course, Tennessee would be highest with proximity of the area. But then you see other states like, Florida, of course, and we hear about the halfback people and things like that, but also California, Illinois, New York, and some of these other states contributing to our growth. So we reviewed different options to get our future forecast. One's from UT, Center for Business Economic Research, and others, Woods and Pool. It's a proprietary data source that we purchased. And we compared those two. This is that 6-county total. Starting in 2020, the historical trend you can see back to 1990, 30-year period. It's basically forecasting that out almost on a straight line. Those are the three sources, including the previous mobility plan, the 2045 is the white line. The orange line is Seaber and the blue line is Woods and Pool. So basically they're tracking almost identically for the 6 counties with just less than 2% difference out here in 2050. We also look at employment, and it continues to grow, and also by sector of employment, because this affects trips. Of course, retail, you have the employees and also people coming to the retail establishment, versus industrial, which may include truck traffic and the employees, of course. And then service economy, that's professionals like healthcare, education, folks like us. That's the sector that has been growing by far the most. The trend away from the manufacturing economy over the years towards service economy. We can continue to see that, and this shows the previous 30-year period and the forecast 30-year period. I will note that industrial manufacturing actually declined in the previous 30 years, but we are showing some growth. It's pretty modest, but it is showing that we are getting some manufacturing to the area. And we've seen this with things like Smith & Wesson plant going to Blount County, and recently here, Midway Business Park, getting some recruiting. So hopefully that continues as well. So this is obviously linked to population growth and that migration factor. As long as you're increasing your jobs in the region, there's going to be people that want to come here and fill those jobs. So they are linked in that respect. So in summary, again, we're updating our latest planning assumptions from a previous base year, 2018, for the old mobility plan up to 2022. We're monitoring these trends. This is why we update the plan on a 4-year cycle to keep up with these trends and see what's affecting them. So 4 years from now, we'll be back here and looking at the numbers probably changed again, see if these are short-term or long-term type of phenomena. So what we're recommending is to go with that Woods and Pool product versus Seaber. One reason being that they are so close to one another. But the major thing is that the Woods and Pool gives us forecasts of both population and employment and other demographic characteristics that we need to feed into our models. So it makes it much more cohesive, consistent data to work with. So that's the main reason that we recommend that. So these charts show the summary, and they're also in your packet as attachment 4 to look at county breakdown of both population and employment. So that's a quick summary there. We do look for endorsement of these to move forward, and technical committee has recommended approval. We've presented this twice to them, both at a special technical advisory committee meeting and a couple weeks ago at their meeting. So any questions or comments?
Questions for Mike? Mayor?
Yeah. So the bottom line is what we're voting on to approve is the projection of an increase of 208,000 people by 2050. Is that?
That's the employment change.
Oh, that's the employment change.
Population's up here. So,
okay.
Yeah, roughly
195,000.
Yeah. And so, this will feed in. The next step with this is to actually come out to each jurisdiction and discuss. This gives us the county number, but for our model, we need to actually break that down into smaller geographies. And so where is that growth actually happening within each area? So we'll be having those discussions following this as well. So didn't want to mention that. Again, it's a crystal ball, and it's hard to pin down exact numbers. But
Chair, I would just say that first, that seems like a reasonable projection. I'm looking forward to supporting it in a minute, but I just think it's a good reminder that as we grow, the decisions of this board, as well as our respective, communities, can accommodate this growth and what, how we do land use. And I know Advanced Knox just went through with Knox County. So regardless of how fast we grow, the decisions we make can accommodate that in ways that promote safety and reduce congestion and all those things. So it's good to know the population, but it's a little bit like, regardless of, I just think it's important, like we can, land use and transportation infrastructure investments can help make sure we accommodate that in a way that's promotes safety and efficiency. And so I think Advanced Knox was a good step in the right direction. So I just want to say congratulations to Mayor Jacobs on making that multi-year process get through.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I mean, with the model, we can look at scenarios of how the region grows and density-wise in different areas and how that affects the adjacent roadways. So I think it definitely, land use and transportation are intrinsically linked. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Justin, did you have?
I do.
See, okay, go ahead.
I have a quick question, and maybe it's somewhere in here and I didn't see it. Once we hit the population mark of a little over 1 million, is there anything federally that we could apply for grants wise since we've hit the 1 million person mark? Is it are grants population sensitive, or is that?
There might, Zach, maybe I'll answer.
So it varies. Since y'all are a TMA, that's pretty much the limit. Look for like over 200,000. Grants define urban area and rural area differently for different grants. Sometimes it's 200,000 as an urban area, but you're not going to see anything past the 200,000, I would say. I think, yeah, it's one thing to note. These are full counties. A battery just went out. Sorry. Do you have a cord? I just got a pop up. Is this it? You want to find the plug? I was going to say, yeah, the TPO boundary is partial counties within those 6 full counties. I think there are like a couple of grants right now that are specifically for 1 million and above MPO population, urban area population. The cutoff is for the larger, like the infra and the... Yeah.
The congestion one?
Oh, the new one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so sorry, I'm not even caught up on all the ones that came out. They're coming out every week. So I guess that would be like the population cutoff, so... usually it's 200,000, so the million is.
We probably won't reach that million threshold at the urban area because it's a subset of those full counties. If I had them, we approved that planning area boundary at your last December meeting. Mm-hmm. You may remember it was a partial, within that. So it may be a while before we crack the million at the urban area level. So
okay. I was just for my, I guess, own personal knowledge, I was just wondering if once we hit that threshold, if it changed and opened us up more or not. But thank you.
Overall, though, I think it's pretty limited what that would open up, as far as I know.
It helps with STBG allocations.
That work. But,
yeah.
Other questions for Mike? Yes, go ahead, Mayor.
Hey, Mike, thank you for the presentation. Yeah. This might be a little tangentially related, but, our population is aging, and I think part of that has to do with the declining birth rate and then folks moving here from higher tax jurisdictions, to have their retirement dollars go further. And granted, you're looking in, that it's a murky crystal ball. I know one thing is you have the employment number is higher than the actual population number. So it's looking like you're expecting that to flip a little bit, hopefully, as more businesses and things expand here. Yeah. But taking into account that aging population, when you all are looking, like getting a little further down in the weeds, is that something that you'll look at and how that will impact the overall transportation structure and infrastructure here?
It does factor in somewhat. I wouldn't say explicitly per se. I mean, we do have a factor in the model of proportion of senior households, and that they obviously make fewer trips. And so I can't tell you off the top of my head exactly the impact of it, but it definitely would have some impact there.
Also, I'll add, we have some sections on there about transit and some of our TDM programs, and we for the last couple decades, we've recognized there's an aging population, and eventually people are not going to be able to drive, and that's going to, put more demand for transit and other programs. We fund a lot of these volunteer driver programs where people will come and pick people up who can't drive. So they keep seeing growing demand. So from that aspect, I think we recognize there could be some more issues.
Right. And again, we update every 4 years for that reason, just to see what that's
Thank you.
needs are.
Other questions for Mike? I have one. For the definition of natural growth, are you looking at, you have to be born in the region, or how is that defined?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess it would be the births here, people actually living here, and new children coming in for that to hit that number there. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else? All right. You have heard the presentation. This comes with technical committee recommendation, and I will entertain a motion to endorse the Mobility Plan 2050 population projections. Thank you, Billy.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mike. Excellent presentation. Very informative. Next, Doug with our 10-year project plan.
Yes, we've kept this on the agenda as just an ongoing item. And so we wanted to give you a few updates. I know many of you either saw it in the news, or many of you were out at the press conference where TDOT came and held an announcement about studying the I-40, I-75 corridor out west. From their press release, they're going to be looking at that corridor over the next 18 to 24 months. It'll be a 17-mile corridor, and they'll also look at the Watt Road and Campbell Station Road interchanges, and also they'll be looking at the way stations and their choice lane project. And we've seen a couple of different numbers, but it looks like an initial investment over $115 million, but they also are going to strategize about how to leverage more money for that corridor. And obviously that would be dependent on what the study ultimately decides. So that was a big announcement for our area. There was a lot of concerns when they announced their 10-year plan that some of those projects had been pushed off. And so I know we were really appreciative of TDOT taking a look at this corridor and helping us strategize about possibly moving some projects back up. The next thing I wanted to mention, we sent this out to you. TDOT had released their official 3-year plan. And so I went through there. The projects that were specifically listed in there were the 2 Anderson County. These are the Edgemore Road projects that Craig just talked about. And then we have the Corridor Priority Investment Project, which was about the press announcement. Then we have the Emory Road interchange construction in fiscal year 25. And then there's a Loudoun County I-75 widening from exit 81 back to the I-40, I-75 split. And then if you go through it, there's various other pots of money for resurfacing, safety, bridges, and transit funding. And then the last thing I kind of wanted to touch base with is I know TDOT staff has been out meeting with the various jurisdictions. We've attended a few of those with you. I didn't know if anyone had anything that y'all wanted to report out, or if the West Knoxville corridor, that was enough, that was announcement, or if anyone had anything additionally you wanted to add to the conversation. That's just up to you.
Yep. For Knox County, TDOT has been very open to discussions about that project and others, and I've just been extremely happy with the conversations with Commissioner Ely and also the region here. So just thank you all for that.
Any other comments? Anything else on that, Doug?
No, that's all it has. I think we'll keep it on here for a couple more meetings and just keep monitoring how it's all going.
All right, very good. Mr. Coleman, Planning Certification Review.
Thank you, everyone. Here to talk about, we were here, January, end of January, presented, talked about the federal certification review. Just wanted to thank everybody for their participation in it, the TPO staff and members of the board. I think it turned out pretty good. So a quick overview of why we certify every 4 years. The federal government, FHWA, is required to certify the planning process of the TPO. So it's the TMA, actually, the Transportation Management Area. So there's the following steps. It's a desk review where we go through all the planning products produced. Then we have the site visit, which is why we were here last time. So we sat down over the course of 2 days, kind of talked through the planning process, the products, then the public and stakeholder outreach, which you were involved in with the listening session. Got a lot of good feedback during that, so we appreciate you taking the time. And then the final report, which we sent out on April 8th. There's a series of findings that come with the review. So there's commendations, which highlight noteworthy practices, recommendations, and then corrective actions, which denote items that do not meet the requirements. There were 3 commendations and 5 recommendations with 0 corrective actions. So we'll go through the commendations here. First and foremost, organizational structure. The TPO is commended for maintaining a high level of performance amid the staff turnover and the associated challenges, while consistently upholding the 3C planning process. So shout out to the staff for, doing a great job. Second was performance-based planning and programming. The TPO is commended for the development of the regional pavement management system, giving jurisdictions and other stakeholders the tools to understand pavement conditions and the needed investments to maintain the infrastructure in the region. That's something that really stands out that we wanted to call attention to. And third was TIP development and management. The TPO is commended for its continued dedication to carrying out biannual project review meetings with project sponsors to really reduce the project delivery delays and maintain that 3C process and communications with local communities and TDOT. Next, on to the recommendations. We kind of called out this for the 3C process, continuing cooperative and comprehensive planning. Doug kind of pointed out that y'all are already doing it, so kudos. TDOT and the Knoxville TPO and other planning partners in the region are recommended to actively coordinate on the planning and development of projects selected for the region in the 10-year project work plan that TDOT put out to work toward timely and successful delivery while ensuring the projects are appropriately considered and prioritized in future planning products. That's federal jargon for you right there. Next, on agreements and contracts, we just wanted to encourage the TPO, TDOT, CAT, Knoxville CAT, and ETHRA to implement kind of a formal periodic review of the planning products and agreements to kind of ensure consistency and promote joint understanding, of roles and responsibilities. Just really encourage the continued cooperation. Next, on performance-based planning and programming, the TPO is recommended to continuously maintain and update the website while moving forward with the development of the online performance measure dashboard to provide the public access to the most up-to-date targets. I know y'all are working on it, so just update the website. Freight planning, the TPO is recommended to align the goals and projects identified for freight in the mobility plan update with TDOT's current updated statewide multimodal freight plan. And then on to safety planning and complete streets, which y'all do a great job with. The TPO should continue to ensure vulnerable road user safety and strategic highway safety plan emphasis areas are considered and incorporated into the updated planning documents to further promote equitable and comprehensive safety measures. So after all that, we determined that the planning process is certified. So y'all are good until April 8th of 2028, so 4 more years. Congratulations, just really wanted to emphasize how much we appreciated everybody's input. So next steps, we're always open and available to provide training and technical assistance and work with, TDOT and the MPO on addressing the recommendations. Y'all are already through your planning process, kind of addressing the recommendations as you go. So we're always here, to provide any assistance along the way. So keep up the good work. The next review will be in 2028. We'll probably kick it off beginning in 2020, late 2027, and then conclude April 8th, 2028. So any questions?
Any questions?
I had a couple things I'd like to say. First of all, I wanted to thank Zach. I've done 7 or 8 of these now, and this was one of the better ones. They really reduced the amount of pre-work we did, but the whole session was very collaborative, very informative, and there was a lot of discussion back and forth, and so it went really well, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, we try to switch it up and do more of a risk-based approach, so we're not hitting on every little thing and nitpicking every little thing. So I think kind of that collaborative effort through, TDOT, the transit providers, it was a really good conversation. So.
Right, and we appreciate TDOT being at Troy and Stacy being there. And I wanted just and Isaac participated, and I also wanted to, point out my staff, Mike Conger and Craig Lipke, and Ali Ketron was there, and Amy Brooks. And a couple of accommodations with the TIP and the pavement management, those are things Craig has been directly involved in. So we really appreciate the work he's done on those projects and really bringing those up to the forefront. So it was a really good review, and I'm proud of how the staff responded. We were short because we just had lost Jeff. That was a lot of experience walking out the door, and we were down Ella, so the staff really rallied, and I thought we did a really good job, and I appreciate it.
I have to agree with Doug. You did a great job, and we weren't worried about it. I could say that. So
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Zach, thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
We really appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Mayor Frank, I did want to
Yes.
say one thing, and Matt was trying to say it. That's all right. They make it look easy.
Yeah.
We have, we have oversight with you all and work really close with the MPOs. And when we have one that struggles, we have to work really, really hard because we have billions of dollars involved with this TPO. Between what you all have and what we have with TDOT. And I'm telling you, you have a great staff that serves this board. We were very lucky when Craig came into the picture. We've had Doug and Mike here for a long time too. And I mean, it's just incredible what y'all do here, and they do a really, really good job. And as a board, and I have 5 MPOs that we watch over just in Region 1. And I'll tell you right now, we are very fortunate for what we have here. And I am thankful that we have this staff here. So very good job. And the certification is a really big deal.
I just want to add the input that we received during the listening session. I know Amber had a lot to say, and it was just like that. No, in a good way. The anecdotes that we received on, how the staff is so committed to the process really influenced kind of how we wrote this. So I appreciate everyone's input.
Matt, did you have something?
Well, Troy kind of took a lot of my talking points, but I do want to say that it does make our jobs a lot easier as the monitors of subrecipients to have staff that, they've been around for a long time. They've seen a lot of the ups and downs of many different TDOT administrations and how we've had to deal with some of the ways that we manage the money and the MPOs in there. But I guess that's all I really have to say. I've enjoyed it as, coming from the internship as, Mike is my boss. They've taught me a lot, and it's amazing that they're still here. So.
Thank you, Matt. Amber?
Yes, I just wanted to give, accolades to everyone. I've been involved with TPO on this board, representing Lenoir City for, I guess, like 15 years now. And just to see all the people that we get to work with all the time and everything they put up with from me, y'all are like angels. But yeah, I think we're really blessed with a great region, and TDOT's always wonderful to us, and it's just great to be a part of this TPO. So, because Lenoir City has really benefited over the years. So thank you all for everything. And the report was amazing. Thanks.
Great. Excellent remarks. Anything else? All right. Any TDOT or federal highway updates?
Yeah, I think there'll be another tag team effort here from the TDOT folks. But I wanted to start with giving a little bit of update on our transportation planning grants. We awarded 19 grants across the state. Within the Region 1, we had 6 projects, and within the Knoxville area, there were 3. Those projects are, well, there's 2 pavement management plans for Anderson and Sevier County. We also have a corridor study on State Route 35 in Alcoa. Those 19 projects, by the way, were about $2.4 million worth of requested funds. So we're pretty excited about that. The planning grant program, I think, has been pretty successful for those that don't really have the resources to go out and find plans, the ability to do plans. So, and some of these have been very successful in their implementation. So we're, again, happy that we still have a good amount of interest in this, and we plan to do this in the future. I think that's it for me.
Only 2 updates I had, and this is, you want to write these down. Multimodal Access Grant is out. There's a webinar coming up this week on the 26th, 11 a.m. You have to pre-register for that, but if you want more information about it to apply for those, it's there. And that's the one that has typically it's a very low match, 5 to 10% match on a multimodal grant, and that's for construction or reconstruction of sidewalks along your state routes. The notice of intent will be due on May 13th. And I believe, Doug, you all may have already sent that notice out. Traffic signal modernization program is also open. So if you have traffic signals in your particular area, in your communities that you need, that they're just ancient, old, really need replaced, please apply for this program. They have millions of dollars applied every year, and the more of a need that they see, the more money that they're putting towards that program. So it is growing. So definitely take a look at that. If you have any questions, please let us know. That's due June 5th. And then I wanted to say that we have multiple plans going on between your all's long-range plan. City of Loudoun was awarded their major thoroughfare and transportation master plan. We're looking at doing a kickoff on that in May. We're about ready to wrap that up and get that moving. And then I guess that's all I have right now.
Thank you, Troy. Zach?
I'm sorry, Mayor Frank. I did want to say we have our representatives from the region here with us. So Steve Borden is here. Dexter Christie, our directors for construction, pre-construction, and a new design manager in the back there, Brian, no longer in traffic. Did y'all have any updates or anything you need to say? Hit them up with questions afterwards. I know we got some people to introduce you to over here. So these are the key to your projects. You know, they come through us, this board votes on it. If it's not in our plan, it's not happening. But these are the ones who get it on the ground. So make sure you hit them up with questions and get to know them if you don't know them.
They do a great job. Absolutely. Go ahead, Zach.
Okay, so FHWA, we love our discretionary grants. We have several programs that are out, and there's actually 2 that were just released this week that I don't have the full details on yet, but I could follow up with an email. One major one is the infra and the rural program. That's large-scale infrastructure projects. That will be available to varying degrees. So it's a single application for all 3 programs, unless you opt out of one of the programs, and it's varying degrees of money that are available, various pots. I don't have the exact numbers on me. I'm sorry, but it's a lot of money that's available. It's over $1 billion of available funding. The second is the Active Transportation Infrastructure Investment Program, or ATIP. That is for active transportation networks and spines, which is multimodal, multi-use paths, sidewalks. That's available. It's good. It's a good alternative to the Safe Streets and Roads for All implementation grant, which y'all can go after as well, because that's open until May 6th, I believe. And then the second round, or the third round of the planning grant for Safe Streets and Roads for All, that closes in August. So it had 3 deadlines this time. One was in April, one's in May, and the third one is in August. But for implementation, that deadline is May 6th. I think those are the major programs that are out right now. But like I said, I will follow up with an email to the group with all of the current programs that are available for discretionary grants.
Thank you, Zach. Any questions for Zach? Zach,
I had a question.
Go ahead,
I didn't
Justin.
catch you in time. On the traffic signalization meeting, is there a contact number, and does that also include the pedestrian signaling? Because I've had some questions about old crossways.
Yeah. So if there's ped heads there and we're looking at upgrading where you need ped heads because they weren't there originally, and there's crosswalks, sidewalks on every side. Yeah, that could be included in your modernization.
Is there a contact number?
They have some information on the website specific as far as the information. I can get you that as far as the specific person. I think everything's going through the application process, but more than happy to get that to you and help you out with that as well.
Thank you.
Steve Brown, they can contact Steve Brown and get it.
Yeah.
I think he's on the website there, Steve Brown.
Mayor Frank, I did miss Savannah. She is with us as well. She's doing our TDM stuff. We're probably going to hear some more from her here in the next couple of months, and also looking at some alternative fuels and a few things like that. So I apologize for missing you on that one. I just didn't keep scanning far enough.
She wasn't sitting with the A team, so you'll have to shift over, Savannah. Any other questions? I do have one, Zach, on the large-scale infrastructure project. What qualifies as large scale?
Bridges, that's a big one. Any major roadway project. So I think TDOT's probably looking at some major projects. We usually get some applications from you every year. So it's large scale to that degree.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Other business.
Yeah, you see on there that we're looking to have our May meetings. Otherwise, I don't have anything else. I don't know if staff has any. So.
All right. Very good. Has anyone signed up for public comment? Yes, Craig.
I actually do have one other thing that I just, rather than kind of dragging everybody down, speaking of pavement management, the letter of interest for the next round of consultant solicitation for pavement management, round 2, should be out advertised today. And when that's available, I'll kind of share that out with those of you, and we'll be convening a team to review those solicitations that's set for sometime in May. So kind of those of you that will be on that conversation, I wanted to go ahead and mention that broadly. So thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Mayor Frank.
Yes, Mayor.
Speaking of pavement management, I just wanted to pass along the many happy motorists who were saying thank you for repaving I-40 in downtown Knoxville. It had gotten really rough, and now it's nice and smooth. Thank you.
Anything else to come before the body this morning? Amber.
I do have one, just thanks. I want to thank Doug Burton and Mike Conger for coming out to the Lenore City Committee of 100 meeting earlier this month to discuss with area businesses in Loudoun County, Lenore City, about the great things that TPO does for our region.